Welcome to Chieftain Roll Call. I'm Bill Tipple with Jack Varner, who is a junior center on the Bellefontaine football team, and Skylar Mifsud, who is a Bellefontaine high school teacher and an assistant football coach. Chieftain Roll Call is presented by Easton Water Solutions. It's also thanks to the newly formed Chieftain Backers, which is a new club at Bellefontaine High School. $20 gets you into Chieftain Backers, and that also gets you inside home sporting events at Bellefontaine High School throughout the school year. Guys, here we are to talk football. It's homecoming week. It is Week 6 that the Tecumseh Arrows will come into AccuSports Stadium Friday night. First, we'll get the coach's perspective, then the player's perspective. Before we talk about the Arrows, though, Skyler, the Chiefs are 4-1, coming off 3 straight wins and a dominant win last week at Indian Lake. Bellefontaine was a winner, 48-14. Just your thoughts on last week's game?
Well, I think the kids played well. We started slow the first series, and came out kind of lackadaisical. And, we put it back together and started piecing it back together and started playing well after that. Offensively, we were pretty efficient, moving the football, and the defense got their first defensive touchdown of the year. And they played well after that first series, really put things together, and it was an overall good team win. Now,
your title, you're the wide receivers coach. You have any other responsibilities with the varsity football team?
I help Coach Reed with special teams, and then I also help Coach Peitzmeyer with the linebackers.
Well, you're a busy young man.
Something like that.
Now, I had Coach Brown a little lathered up last week during our pregame interview. My one question prompted a one-word answer and a very angry look. I said, is there any chance the Chiefs tonight, meaning Week 5 at Indian Lake, will be maybe a little sluggish, a little off? And his answer was none. And he didn't look too happy that I asked the question. But I thought maybe they were a little slow, and I will also give credit to Indian Lake. I don't watch any game film, but for a team that was 0-4, I thought they played maybe above that level the first part of the game. So what do you make out of the first part of that game? And I know these are high school athletes, so there's a little bit of unpredictability, in my opinion. But what was your take as one of the coaches?
Well, yeah, give credit to Indian Lake. I thought they came out fast and they came out physical. And they had a good game plan to start the game. And it also was on us. Like I said, we were a little lackadaisical as well. So pairing both of those together, I think, caused the issues early on. Then we started picking up our energy and our effort, and it really turned the tide for us.
Was it maybe your team's slowest start, in the first quarter or so of a game this year?
Yeah, I'd say it was this year the slowest start we've had to a game.
Okay, let's talk to Jack Varner, Chieftain Junior Center, about last week. Then we'll talk about the first 5 weeks. We're kind of at the halfway point. I want to see what Skylar thinks and what Jack thinks. But first of all, Jack, congrats on another win.
Thank you.
48-14.
Thank you.
This is also a team that beat the Chiefs last year. You talked about that on last week's Chieftain Roll Call. So, Indian Lake had a very good team last year. Kind of a young team right now.
Right.
What do you make out of last week's win?
Yeah, it was a good win. Besides that, maybe first 6 minutes of the game, we pretty much dominated throughout the game. Tavian probably played his best game of the year. He was sharp. So you love to see that. And, just got from this point on, we got to play like that from the very first whistle because everybody else on the schedule is good.
That's true. Cut and drill is tough. I don't think there's any gimmies. You're one of the players, so you bring a little different perspective than Coach and certainly me. Was there any reason to what some are calling kind of a slow start? And we already gave credit to Indian Lake. I thought they played pretty well. But can you ever tell that as a player? Can you tell before the game, like, I don't know if we're really ready right now, or is it one of those things where that's the unpredictability of sports?
Yeah, I think it was just kind of unpredictable. I felt like I was ready to play. I couldn't wait to play them after the year before, but they had a good game plan. And Indian Lake is really well coached. I think one of the better coached teams in the CBC. So they probably saw some things on film and they hit those things early on. And we had a slow start, but then again, we scored on like the 5th play of the game. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is terrible start. It was, we got to play better going forward, to start the game on the first series.
Is there any benefit, though, to start having a slow start? I'm not sure Coach Brown would like this, but, you have one behind you, you know what it's like, and your team responded. So is there some positives to that?
Well, you'd rather have probably the slow start against Indian Lake than Jonathan Alder, because Jonathan Alder would be up 21-0 before you know it, just like last year against Jonathan Alder. So, yeah, hopefully we got it out of the way and we're ready to go against these Kenton Trail teams.
You're the guy that's linked to Tavian St. Clair, literally. I mean,
Yeah.
the center quarterback, I know it's in spread, it's shotgun, but you're snapping the ball to him every play. How about his game, and why do you think he was so effective last week?
I think we had a good game plan offensively, like throwing wise. You know, we knew Chris wasn't maybe 200%, so we knew that we were going to maybe rely on Tavian a little bit more, so there's a little more emphasis in practice maybe. And, you know, he's kind of just that guy. I don't think it matters who we play, that if we really need it, Tavian's going to have a big game. And you could just feel it, you know, going throughout the game. You're like, man, this dude's not missing. Just keep giving him the rock, so.
Does he, and he's a quiet guy, the little bit I know him, but does he say much when he's on that hot spell? Do the other players say much? Was that something that was talked about in the moment?
Not really about him. No, he's not like, well, I'm on. He's just like, let's go score. And he's a team first guy, and you know that's great to have out of your quarterback. He'll get you hyped up though. He's a little louder on the field than he is on a podcast, maybe.
Okay, all right. Well, we're at the halfway point, Coach. Chiefs are 4-1, which is is a very good start. A lot of teams would love to be 4-1. What do you make out of the team? Not just the record, but things that you see on, what have maybe been some of the highlights and areas where you want to see improvement?
Yeah, so I think, week one, just kind of working through them, started hot, good game against Sydney for us. And then we played a good Coldwater team. No doubt they're a really good football program year in and year out. And, we competed with them. They got the best of us that night. But what I liked that I saw was that we were able to bounce back the next week against a good Licking Heights team. Sometimes you can have some teams that, shut down after that, but this team was resilient in those regards and, was able to come out and put together a good week 3 win against Licking Heights. And then Ben Logan and the Lake, county rivals, big games every year in and year out. Started really slow against the Lake last year, if you remember correctly.
21-0 pretty early in the game,
yeah,
like
pretty
early
early.
second quarter.
Yeah. So, being able to overall put together 2 good games against Ben Logan and the Lake before we get into the Kenton Trail, where, like Jack mentioned earlier, we're going to have some tough competition coming up here. So overall, I think we have gotten better as the year has gone on. Obviously, there's still plenty of room to improve. Offensively, I think we're connecting better in the pass game, and I think our receivers and just skill guys in general are doing better with the ball in their hands, making the plays after they get the ball.
Any area where you really want to see growth? I know you coach a bunch of different spots, wide receivers, help with the linebackers, help with special teams. But, as you look at the team, every team can get better. What are a couple areas where you want to see the Chiefs improve?
Well, personally in my position group, I harped on, blocking in space and, catching the ball and yards after catch. Early on, we weren't getting many yards after catch. We were almost finding a defender to tackle us. I thought the last 2 weeks we've done better of that. Making first guy miss or, making multiple guys miss, getting those extra yards, because those are huge. You get 5 or 6 extra yards, make the first guy miss, building on a drive. So I think we're improving in those areas, but I think there's still room to grow there.
How about the linebacker play and the special teams play?
Yeah, so we've, throughout the first half of the season, we've had some shifting in there with Sullivan Ashcraft, dealing with knee injury. So, he's bumped down to the defensive line now, and Alex Caudill has stepped into that Mike Backer role. And Alex has done a great job. He's physical. He's great at reading the run. And Eli Moore and Harper Scott have gotten a lot better at playing in space. Harper Scott, I thought, against the Lake, had one of his best games in coverage as far as being able to play the ball in the air. There was multiple times where he was right there.
And how about Alex Caudill? Here is a guy that, Coach Reed raved about him before the season, said he might be one of the Chiefs' best players. But still, when you take a guy that's a down lineman, he was a defensive end, and then he goes to Sullivan Ashcraft's position. Basically, they flip-flopped. For somebody to do that and do it that well, to me, is not normal. If we look at other high school teams, I don't think you're going to get the same outcome. How unusual or how meaningful is it to you on what he's done?
Yeah, well, I think it speaks to Alex's athletic ability, for starters, being able to play with his hand in the dirt or being able to play on his feet. Alex is a strong kid and is a thumper. He's not scared of contact, which is what you need out of your Mike Backer. You need a grown man to play Mike Backer. And, we only have so many of those on our team, and he's one of them. and he's really done a great job of fitting that position.
Jack, for you, you're at the halfway point with your teammates, 4-1. But even beyond the record, what do you make out of your team? If you were talking to maybe your dad or one of your friends, and they said, "Well, what do you think of the first 5 weeks? What do you think of the first half?" How would you answer that?
I think it's been a very, very good first 5 weeks. For me, I kind of know a lot of Chieftain history because of my dad and all that. And,
That is true.
I think for the first 5 weeks, we have a chance to be something special, and now we just gotta go do it. We got to clean some things up. We beat ourselves a few times this year against Coldwater. We kind of tried to beat ourselves against Licking Heights, but I think the first 5 weeks shows if we play our very best, we can hang with any team for sure.
Coach Brown, a few times when I've talked to him, he referenced Coldwater and talked about the lessons learned.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's ever a good loss, but sometimes you learn a lot in a loss. What did you and your teammates learn that night?
You can't beat good teams beating yourselves. You can't beat good teams getting punts blocked. You can't beat good teams having 10 penalties for like 200 yards. To beat really, really good teams, which I think we are really, really good, but we're going to face teams that are maybe as good, if not better than us this year, that if we're going to beat them, we can't beat ourselves. So I think that's been an emphasis in practice. And, I think Coach Brown's been real focused on, like in practice, in these games like against Ben Logan and the Lake, that, it's not necessarily about them. It's like about when we get a team like Coldwater next that we'll be ready.
It's about us.
About the Chiefs, yeah. He talks about, measuring yourself or keeping the standard where it is here. What do you think of after the first 5 games of your play as a center and then your unit's play as an offensive line?
I feel like I've played good throughout the season. I don't think I've played great yet, and I think it's kind of been the summary for the whole offensive line. I think we've been that close, and if we can just take one more step I think we're good. I think we're a really good unit, but I'd like to see us become an elite unit, and we're like that close. So we just got to keep being physical in practice, keep getting better each week, and then hopefully by, when we get to even this week and going forward, we'll just slowly become, some of the best offensive linemen that's been here.
Who's the leader of your group?
Well, we got a good bunch. I'm the only not senior starter, so you could say all those guys. It was Alex, and he don't play much offensive line right now, but Jay-Z and Keegan probably. Jay-Z and Keegan, they've probably played the best out of all of us, and Coach Reed, you can kind of tell, leans on those guys to lead us. So I would say those guys are probably the leaders.
And Jack, for being not a senior, he's a good vocal leader as well for that group.
Well, center's always got to be a cerebral guy too.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
Football and that. And Jack's been around the game a long time. This is a senior-laden football team. You've got some of those at wide receiver, Skyler. We think of guys like Caden Reams. We also think of Colin Deitch, but then you have some other guys mixed in too. C.J. Wilson and Riley Neer, those are both juniors. When you look at your main position group, I would say would be wide receiver. How about individually? How have those guys done, and then as a group as well?
Yeah, so I'm not in control, but I coach the outside receivers, so the X and Z is what we call them. So it's Colin and CJ that normally start, and Caden rotates with them. Riley's that slot position. He's with Coach Egler normally. But with that group, those main 3 that rotate out there, I've said that they're all different in good ways, and, I don't view them as one being higher than the other. It's a great problem to have 3 guys that are all dynamic with the ball, can play the ball in the air, and make explosive plays. We've seen it this year. Colin might have a big game and CJ doesn't, or CJ has a big game, Colin doesn't. Last weekend, so like Caden Reams and CJ had a big game and Colin didn't have as many catches. That's not drawn up. It's not planned. It's just how the game flow goes. And, that's what's good about having 3 really good guys out there is that whoever's in, it might be their night, but the next week it might be someone else's night. And, it truly is, Coach Brown always says, it has to be a we over me attitude in that group just because we have so many skill guys and, only one ball. So, truly playing for each other and not just yourself.
And they do each have some really outstanding attributes. Deitch, I've been watching Chieftain football a long time. He's one of the best route runners I've seen. Do you see that throughout the week?
Yeah, he's really good at being able to stem the corner, inside or out, influence him the way he wants him to go. It's really impressive how he's able to work his feet very fast.
Wilson's a little bit of a mix to me, Coach. He's fast. He's a game breaker, but he also catches the ball well in traffic, and he's shifty and nifty after the catch. Do you see all that stuff as well?
Yeah, he's really reliable. Now against Ben Logan at home, had the halfback pass dropped in the end zone, but that might be one of his only drops.
That's an unusual.
It's very
play.
unusual. CJ has really good hands. He's so trustworthy. When the ball's in his direction, if it's in his area, he's going to catch it usually.
And I think Reams is a good contested catch kind of guy.
Yeah, Reams is, he's 6'3"-ish, and can jump really high. So, being able to high point a ball for him, that's one of his characteristics. He's able to play the ball in the air really well. And also Reams has really good route running ability and has some speed to him as well.
What's a perfect game plan? Because we've seen and that's the flow of the game. Like last week was pass heavy. Tavian was 19 of 21. It was a career night statistically. But if you could draw up the perfect game, you're going to see a pretty stingy defense this week. Tecumseh's only given up, I think, 69 points through 5 weeks. What's that perfect game if you could just, put it on paper and chart it out?
Well, we have a really good running game as well, and it's credit to the offensive line. Ideally you're close to balance, but, I think like what you're saying, it depends on one week or the other, whether you're pass heavy or run heavy one week. Last week we were more pass heavy. We were 21 to 15, so we had 15 carries, 21 passes. This week could be different. But I think it's week to week on who you play and, what they're giving you. If they're going to give you the run, and they want to take away Tavian, then we're going to give them Chris Fogan. If they want to take away Chris, then we're going to give them Tavian.
Yeah, so it is, as the Tecumseh coach told me, kind of pick your poison. That's a great thing for any offense. Let's turn the page to Tecumseh and homecoming, then we'll wrap up our podcast this week. It is Chieftain Roll Call. You're getting a chance to listen to and watch here from the WBCS studio presented by Eastern Water Solutions. Skylar, you're one of the younger coaches, so it wasn't that many years ago that you were playing for Bellefontaine High. What's homecoming week like, and what's the homecoming night game like?
Well, I love what Coach Caudell says. He says the homecoming dance isn't anything without a good football game. So, there's always the extra activities that lead up to it. The parade, the spirit week throughout the school. The keys for guys to, stay focused, locked in on what's at hand and what's important here, especially as we get into the Ken Trail like we talked about. Tecumseh's no slouch. They're a very solid football team. We'll have to play our best, to come out and do what we want to do.
Is it tough to concentrate that night when you think about your homecoming games a few years back?
No, I don't. If you were a homecoming king or a candidate, I guess maybe that might affect you, but I was not.
Soccer.
We're going to go back and do a recount. But anyways,
Yes.
Jack's a junior, so he's maybe not into all that pageantry like some of the senior guys.
Right.
But for you, and you played in homecoming last year as a sophomore, what's it like?
For me, it felt like just a normal game, just go in there and do our thing. I'm 0-2 on homecoming nights so far. I think the seniors 0-3.
Mm-hmm.
I think they lost to Shawnee my freshman year or my 8th grade year at homecoming. So I think there is a sense of urgency to go get one. Like, I think everybody in this program wants to win one of these homecoming games because, we're sitting here talking about describe how it feels. It feels like we lose every time we play it. So we want to play Friday. I wish Friday was right now. Like, I'm ready to go get one.
Well, the players have a chance to change all that recent history.
Yeah.
Is there any difference, like in practices, or what the pregame routine is like, or is it another game?
No, just Coach Caudell hollering a little bit more. It's homecoming, homecoming.
Okay.
That's
Practice schedule stays the same.
Stays the same.
Nothing
Yeah.
changes. We get on a float Thursday night, but we have
The parade,
get on the parade here and come to the stadium, and they do a really good job with the fireworks and introducing all the programs, not just the football program, and But the practice schedule throughout the week stays the same. Nothing changes in those regards.
Well, the Tecumseh Arrows, I think, Coach, are getting better. And I think about where they've been the last few years. Last year they were a 4-6 football team, but, it was a tough win for the Chiefs. Bellefontaine won 23-18. 2 years ago, Tecumseh actually won the game in a real exciting game. There was an onside kick the Chiefs recovered, maybe even two of them.
Two of them.
Chiefs still lost that game by just 1 point, 35-34. But, they're very senior laden. Spoke with Coach Corey earlier today. His son is the quarterback. He's a senior. Their main ball carriers are seniors. They have a lot of senior linemen. So they're an experienced team. What kind of a team do you see? They're 3-2 at the halfway point.
Well, when you look at Tecumseh, they're going to try to control the game. They're going to try to control the tempo. They're going to run the ball. If you're looking for a passing attack from Tecumseh when you come to AccuSport Stadium Friday night, you're not going to see it out of them. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try to get 3 or 4 yards on every run, eat the clock away, and try to keep the ball out of our offense's hands. Defensively, we have to try to limit those 3 to 4 yard carries to 1 to 2. They have a plan, and they're going to stick to that plan offensively and defensively. They're not going to change much off their path of what their game plan is for us, whatever that may be. What we have seen is that they do like to change week by week. Speaking to, them being 3-2 and much improved from last year, they have a tight loss to Bellbrook week 2, I believe. They lost by 7 to Bellbrook, who was a very good football program and had a very good season last year.
It was week 3. They beat
Week 3,
beat Fairborn, then Dayton Carroll out of the gate.
Yeah. So, we have to come ready to play. They are no slouch, like I said. They're going to be physical with us. It's going to be a very physical football game, especially up front. And when our skill guys get the ball out in space, they got to make plays with it.
Jack, what do you see out of Tecumseh? I guess for you, it was probably the Tecumseh defense, which, again, has only given up 69 points through 5 weeks. That's pretty good average. What do you see out of their defense?
I think they're a solid defense. I don't think they've played a team quite like us yet where, it's kind of, like they said, pick your poison. So we'll see how they adjust to that. They played us real tough last year. We torched them early. We were up 16-3 at half, and then we kind of just slowly started to let it go. So we have to play a good 4 quarters of football because we know they're not just going to give up. They proved that last year. I think they're pretty well coached. So, and like you said, they're going to be physical. They're going to be real physical.
Very physical. Lucas Berner's probably their best player. He does so much for them in all facets of the game.
How many burners do they have right now?
At least 3.
Yeah. They've had 3 for about 10 years.
3, yeah. They have a lot of – that is a very popular name at Tecumseh High. But, defensively, they play a 4-4. I've even seen years where they get into what I call like a 6-2 or kind of a goal line D. So you're going to have a bunch of guys up by you at the line of scrimmage. What's it like to be the center on that night?
Well, we're expecting it, so we'll be prepared. It can get chaotic, Them, Shawnee, they like to throw things at you, and if we just follow our rules, we'll be fine. But that's what I gotta say.
Okay, guys. Anything that as we wrap it up, anything that's like the keys to winning? I do want to ask about the second half of the season, the Kenton Trail, before we close our show. But this Friday, any couple 3 keys in your mind, Skylar?
Well, I think we need to take care of the football. Turned it over last week, and that's just not what we want to do offensively. We got to value the football and take care of it, and we need to do a better job of our skill guys, blocking on the edge for, whoever has the ball. Like we said, tons of skill guys, but 1 ball. So really would like to see us Friday night, really blocking for everyone. Through the whistle. I think that would be a big key to busting those bigger plays.
Jack, for you, a couple 3 keys to winning this game?
I think number 1 is we should want to win more than they want to win. Like I said, we're 0-3 in homecoming games. I mean, there should definitely be a sense of hunger to win this game, and I'm gonna convey that message to the team tomorrow. Number 2 is, we can't beat ourselves, like I said. No penalties, no dumb things, no personal fouls 10 yards behind the ball. And number 3, just to keep it cool, let's get some turnovers. I'd like to get some turnovers for
Well,
get the ball out of there.
Those are difference makers. Tecumseh wants to possess the ball. They want to have 7,
Yeah.
8-minute drives and limit the Bellefontaine possessions, which is a good plan because the Bellefontaine offense is very, very explosive. We are in the second half. There are only 5 league games. They're obviously all big. This is a big game for all these teams in the Kenton Trail tonight. In this case, Bellefontaine or Tecumseh is going to start 1-0. But when we look at the Kenton Trail, Coach, your thoughts on that division this year, and is there a favorite right now?
Well, yeah, it's a very these 5 games are going to be very tough games all the way around. Starting with Tecumseh this week, and then going down to Shawnee next week will be a tough one. And then you throw in London, you throw in Alder. KR is a little down right now. They're probably not at the top tier like the Londons and Shawnees and JAs, but Shawnee, JA, London are really good football teams, and we'll need our best on those nights.
Jack, do you think of a favorite? Maybe it's the Bellefontaine Chiefs. I don't know.
I'll say Bellefontaine Chiefs, but we'll have to go out there and do it. Like he said, I feel like, like I said, I've been watching Chieftain football for a long time. This feels like the deepest it's been, like maybe since I've started watching it. There's a lot of really good teams, and I think we'll see, like, when the playoffs come around, I think it'll show, like, yeah, the CBC was good this year, because I think Tecumseh is pretty good, and I think Tecumseh could be a threat in the playoffs, and I think if we come out sleepwalking Friday, that Tecumseh will beat us. So
Wow.
I think it's a very deep conference.
Yeah, deep division, no doubt. Could be a lot of playoff teams. 16 get in.
I didn't give you a true answer. I guess my answer to the top of the CBC is, we are in the conversation, but we have to play well, along with those 3 other teams that I mentioned. And Tecumseh's right there, like Jack said. They're no slouch. Anything can happen in high school football. So we have to take care of business against them on Friday night.
I thought in the summer, Skyler, that Bellefontaine and Springfield Shawnee were the favorites. I'll stick with that answer, but I still think it's pretty open.
Yeah, agreed.
Enjoy homecoming week.
Thank you.
Jack, you have a good homecoming week, and go get that victory.
Are you going to the dance, Jack?
Oh, absolutely.
He'll be
Yeah.
there. All right. He's a big
Front row.
guy in a lot of facets around Bellefontaine High here. So thanks to our sponsor, Easton Water, who makes this show happen every week. We've gone video this week. We're trying to transition here at the WBCS studio. Thanks to the Chieftain backers. Our guest tonight, Skyler Mifsud, who's an assistant coach at Bellefontaine High with the football team. He does wide receivers, linebackers, and some special teams work, and junior center, Jack Barner. For all of them, I'm Bill Tipple saying have a good week and enjoy homecoming.